Welcome to the Bulls Outsider. I am Pence, and I am here to talk about why I still don't believe in Zach LaVine. Now, I'm not trying to dog Zach LaVine. He's a good player. He's a great scorer. He's definitely got a place on this Bulls team. But we keep hearing terms thrown around by Casey Johnson as the cornerstone of this rebuild. And if this is the best the Bulls are hoping to get, if he's going to be the franchise player, that concerns me as a Bulls fan. So here's why I'm not certain that Zach LaVine can be that franchise defining player like the Bulls are looking for. So here are Levine's averages on the current season. And now, granted, let's take this all with a grain of salt. He is coming off that ACL injury and still trying to acclimate himself to the game and everything like that. But he's still averaging 17.5 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 1 steal, 1.6 turnovers, and shooting a blah, 40.2% from the field and 38.3% from three. So he's still running himself into shape. And over the last 10 games the Bulls have had, he played in 8 of them. And over those 8 games, he averaged 22.4 points, increased his field goal percentage. Everything else pretty much stayed the same, but he increased his field goal percentage and his 3-point percentage. To better levels. He's still not playing well defensively either. His defense has always been bad during his career, and he really hasn't improved on that end. So when you think about a franchise player, you think of somebody who does more than scoring. He's got to play well on both ends. If you look across all the franchise players that have happened in the last 30 or 40 years, they were all two-way forces, and LaVine is just not that two-way force. He does. The question becomes, you can see his rebounds are less than 4.5 or 5. His assists are pretty low. Can he do more than score? That's always been my question with him. So his PER this year, and granted, PER is not the um, the end all be all for stats, but it's only a 17.4. The top five in the NBA for this season, we're gonna look at them in order. James Harden leads with 30.5. That's a pretty high PER. Anthony Davis is second with 28.9. Giannis is third with 28.4, LeBron 27.7, and Steph's 27.7. Those are the top five PERs in the NBA. LaVine's not even close to touching that. And like I said, this is not the end all be all stat of all time, but if LaVine wants to get in that upper echelon, if he's going to be a franchise guy, he should be close to that, 24, 25 PER range. Okay, so let's try to put this all together. Let's just project that Zach LaVine, um, either the next season or for the rest of his career, is going to average around 20 points per game or better, because he is a great scorer. He's going to be around 4.5 rebounds per game or less, and around 3.5 assists a game or less. That's kind of what he's been for his entire career. Where does that put him historically? So here are the NBA players in history that have averaged 20 or more points per game, 4.5 rebounds or less per game, and 3.5 assists per game or less. And it's quite a list. The first one is 85-86 Michael Jordan. That's Michael Jordan that broke his foot in his second season, and then he dropped 63 on the Celtics in the playoffs. The second one was Michael Redd, Vince Carter when he was with Toronto, Ricky Pierce, Kevin Martin, Klay Thompson, which is a pretty nice name to have on this list, Reggie Miller, Bradley Beal, Adrian Dantley, David Thompson, Kiki Vandeweghe, Dale Ellis, Glenn Rice, Calvin Murphy, Eddie Johnson, old George Gervin when he was getting closer to playing for Chicago his last 2 seasons in San Antonio, Eric Gordon, Mitch Richmond, Rolando Blackman, Ben Gordon, Jeff Malone, Richard Hamilton, Allen Houston, Earl Monroe, C.J. McCollum, Coutinho Mobley, Doug Collins, the rookie Kevin Durant when he played in Seattle, Isaiah J.R. Ryder, and then Jerry Stackhouse. These are all fine names. Like these are all good players. But you look at these guys, and besides Kevin Durant early on in his career, besides George Gervin late in his career, and besides Michael Jordan when he was healthy, none of these guys were really. I guess Reggie Miller could be considered a franchise player, but none of these guys had like that championship success. They were never like the franchise guy, the franchise altering player. They were all just nice players, and you had to put a lot of pieces around them. If this is the company Zach LaVine's going to be in, then he's not the franchise. He's not this kind of defining player that the Bulls were looking for, and they got to keep looking. Maybe that's going to be Lauri Markkanen. Uh, I know we won. It was a win-win Bulls Timberwolves trade when we traded Jimmy Butler. I'm really happy that we have Lauri Markkanen. I really like the Chris Dunn. I really like the piece they put together, but I still think there's a piece missing. I don't know if these three guys together are going to be a franchise core that they can actually build on and compete for conference championships, much less NBA championships. Now, look, I hope desperately that I'm wrong about Zach LaVine. I've had a lot of people tell me that he puts a lot of work in, that he really wants to be great, and that's great. I really want to be a great at everything I do too, but it doesn't always happen. And there's always guys that work harder than you. There's always guys more talented than you. I think he's a great scorer. I think he's a terrific player. But for the Bulls to get to that level to where they can get back into the conference finals and they can compete for the East and trying to make it to the NBA finals, they have to have a franchise player, and I don't know if Zach LaVine is it. I hope he's still young. He's very talented. Larry Markkinen's very talented. Chris Dunn's very talented. I think they have some really talented basketball players. They're obviously going to have a lottery pick this year. Hopefully, this thing starts to come together. Thanks for listening. You can read more from me at the Bulls Outsider on B2 Hoops. You can see the web address there. You can also follow B2 Hoops and also the Bulls Outsider on Facebook and Twitter. B2 Hoops is also on Instagram. So follow us on social media. I tweet a lot about the Bulls. I tweet a lot about random thoughts of just quick reactions on stories. So feel free to follow me on Twitter, and thanks for listening.